Good morning, Sunday school class. I'm teacher Michelle, and today we'll be reviewing the sacrificial system. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I hope you guys are enjoying your summer so far. So after the tabernacle was built and completed, God gave Moses some very specific instructions regarding sacrifices. Do you guys remember how many different types of offerings there are? Well, there's 5. Do you guys remember the 5 of them? First one, they were burnt offerings. Then there were grain offerings. Then there's the fellowship offerings. Then there's a sin offering. And last but not least, there's the guilt offerings. So in all, there were 5 different types of offerings. And these offerings were the way that God graciously allowed Israel to be forgiven of their sins so they can fellowship and worship God together. So remember last week we talked about we mixed the oil, which represented God's holiness, with the water, which represented the sin. And remember, did they mix? They didn't. So remember how God's holiness cannot be near or with sin at all. So God's holiness requires a sacrifice for sinful men. So for the offerings, there were different rules or laws on how they can sacrifice. So for the burnt offering, God commanded them that it should be a male, either bull or lamb or goat, that has no blemish. Do you guys remember, what does blemish mean? Well, blemish is either like a flaw or imperfection. So he commanded that it has to be a male animal with no flaws. So look at this tomato right here. What do you guys see? Yeah, there's holes and some black markings on them, some bruises, and it even has a worm. Is this a perfect tomato? No, this is a blemished tomato. Look at this tomato. Look at it. Are there any worms or holes or bruises? There's none, and it's very pretty, and it's ripe, and it's probably very delicious. And this is a tomato with no blemish. So here's a contrast. So if you had these 2 tomatoes, would you want the one that has blemishes or no blemishes? Point to the one that you would rather eat. Well, I hope you all pick the one with no blemish. There's no yucky stuff in it. So for the sacrifice, God also commanded that the Israelites have sacrifice a bull or goat or a lamb. So this is a bull. And when they are going to sacrifice him, the priests will put their hands on top of the bull's head as they kill it for sacrifice. Do you guys remember why they had to put their hands on the head of the animal? Well, this action pictured the transfer of the sacrificer's sin to the animal. So they were offering their sacrifices this way and transferring their sin to the animal. That way they're able to fellowship and be with God and worship him. But do we do this anymore? Do we sacrifice a lamb or a goat every time we want to go worship God or pray to him? Give me a thumbs up if you think we do, thumbs down if you think we don't. Well, we don't. Do you guys know why we don't do that anymore? Well, that is because we have one perfect sacrifice that died in our place, and that is Jesus. He died on the cross, and his blood was shed for our sins, and then now we can have perfect fellowship with God. We can pray to him, we can worship him, and that's all through Jesus Christ. And so I hope you had a good review on the different types of offerings in the book of Leviticus. And I hope you learned the difference between blemish and no blemishes. And I want you to remember that the greatest sacrifice, the perfect substitute, was Jesus Christ on the cross for us, because he died for our sins. All right, Sunday School kids, I'll see you next week.